Hey friends, welcome back. So today we're gonna do a little tutorial on coloring the kind of black that you would see in a image like this, or typically anyway, or the kind you would see maybe on a cape, vampire cape, that kind of thing. I also did a poll, and I could only put two options because it's all it would let me do. So I said Holbeins or Black Widows, and I love them both. Black Widows are criminally underrated as a alternative to Prisma, and I know some people might disagree with that, but that's for another day. So I picked out some pencils that I thought would go good for like right in here. And they're gonna keep it within the bluish type black category. So I have white, which is 500. This is just the regular white. I also have the soft white, which is 501. Now, the difference being obviously that the soft white, I would not sharpen in my one, like the electric sharpener that I have. I would not sharpen this one in that, just like a hand type sharpener like this. I would not use an electric sharpener on this one. The regular white, yeah, it's just as long as you're careful and gentle. So we have indigo, which is 460. Hold on a second. Oops. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong black. Black. And I'm going to talk about why I use just the regular black 510 versus the lamp black, which is what I had here in my hand. There's a difference, and I chose not to. 460, which is indigo. 579 smoky gray. Cool gray number 535. Cool gray number 2. And cool gray number 6. Now, the difference being lamp black, well, you should be able to see the difference right here. Okay, let me pull this up so you guys can see a little better. Okay, the top one is the lamp black, and the bottom one is the regular black. Now, the biggest difference is lamp black is a warm black. It's the kind of black you would use with your warm grays, your French grays, because they have such a warm brown undertone. So when you get the Holbeins, the lamp black is for your warm stuff. Okay, this is more like an ivory black. It just says black, but it's an ivory black to me. And I think most blacks typically would be. But that's the primary difference. I did an image, and I'll show you. And I used the lamp black and then some Gamsol to blend. And you can see right here how warm. I didn't put a ton of layers because I was just testing it out. This is from Hannah Carlson's Seasons. Great book, by the way. And I was testing out the color combos on this, and I discovered that I used a little too much smoky gray, and I don't want a warm black, and the warm black basically took over. So that's my little tip for you. I also did a flip through of this way sometime back, so just dial through my tutorials and you should be able to find it pretty easily. I've only been doing this for a couple of years. Sorry. So, without further ado, I'm going to get started. And for here, I'm going to start with my white because it's a gray toned paper. Now, if I was to use white paper, I would start with my darkest and just gradually inch my way out to the lightest frequently. But since I have the gray tone paper, it's better to start with your highlights. Gray tone paper, when you're doing an image like this, is better because it makes those black and gray tones kind of pop a lot more. So anyway, oh, and I forgot, the image is from Davison, Matt and Dawn Davison. Their stuff is absolutely fantastic. It's all hand drawn, no AI, and it is really some of the most incredible stuff I've ever seen. Matt works for Disney, if I'm not mistaken, doing, I believe, their costume stuff. But anyway, that's where that image is from, and it's from last year's Halloween event, and I just absolutely love it. So you want to start, I'm going to do a small section up here, I guess right here, and I'm going to start with my white, and I'm doing just a very light layer. Now the trick to avoiding ending up with silver, which is, if you're not careful, you will end up with silver. And I found the trick to kind of working around that, and I'm going to show you. So for now, you just want a very light layer, just out just a little bit. This is Elvira. She was a thing back in the day. I'm not going to say how far back, but back enough. So, and then I'm going to start with my next lightest, which is the Cool Gray number 2. Think of Prisma, okay? You know how Prisma has their Cool Grays, I think, set up like that? So, in numbered, you know, and the 2 is, I think, the lightest in, and it goes all the way up to number 6. It's something like that. And I know there's at least one other company that does that, but I want just a very light layer over this. I hope you love the music. I picked it out off, I have a streaming service that was, I've known quite a few people, streamers, who use it, and it's called Epidemic. And it's done me pretty well. It's made my job a little bit easier. It's a subscription service, but it's absolutely worth it. So now that I've gotten that layer, and you want to kind of inch that out just a little bit past your marks, in whether that be the marks that the artist just put in, or just, you know, the marks you put in from doing the white. And again, if you're going to do it on white paper, just need to reverse what I'm saying. So you just go out just a little bit, and you want to kind of angle it. You see how this is really sharply curved? I don't know the degree or anything exactly, but it's got a pretty strong curve. Now, it can either curve in or it can curve out. And in this case here, it curves in, but it also curves out. It depends on how you shade it. If you want to have it be super, super light on the edges, then it's going to come out a little bit differently. It's going to be, you know, look a little more rounded, versus having, you know, what I'm doing here. Down. And I'm going to go out just a little bit. Okay, now I have my smoky gray. And this is one of the tricks to getting a non-silver mix. If you use just the grays and the black and some of the bluish grays even, you're going to end up with like a bluish gray silver or just a regular silver if you don't use a color like this. If you want just the silver stuff, just take out the blues that I'm using or use less of them, okay, and more white. In this case, I'm going to use a light layer of blue of this smoky gray. And that's also another trick to doing something like this versus like ending up with silver, is how you use that blue. So just using a very light layer of this and keeping up to about the same marks. And the thing is, if you want a certain amount of smooth blending, like say you're pressing the hardest, you want to press the hardest in the darkest area that you're coloring, whether it be whatever section. Even if it was like right here, I would press dark here and lighter here. So, but you take your darkest part, and then as you're going out to the area that's going to be blended into another area, you want to just lighten up on the pressure of the pencil. Like say if I'm pushing the most here, then I'm going to, as I go out, I'm just going to lighten up in how I touch the paper. Okay, I want to go in with this, and this is the indigo. There are other grays you can use, although I would recommend either indigo or navy gray. You know, let's see if I have the navy gray here, but not Prussian, because Prussian blue is a very green blue. So I would not recommend in this particular application, I would not recommend Prussian, but something that has a darker undertone to it, like indigo or even Payne's gray, actually. Slate gray and the Prisma, something like that will work great. But you really have to be very careful with the white, because the white is the thing that turns it to silver. So if you've got too much white and not enough of the other grays and blacks and the blues, it's going to end up like looking like silver. I did that recently. I was trying to get something to look like a mummy wrappings, and it's on my Instagram. And I ended up coloring this beautiful gold, and I was like, it was all like that, and I'm just like, oh, okay. A bit, because it's kind of funny. I'm not really devastated. It's a picture I'm just doing for my own personal pleasure, but it's like I'm a little miffed because I did not mean to do that. I was playing around with some different my Black Widows, and I didn't realize I was going to end up, when I burnished it, it started looking all gold, and I'm like, well, this is cool, but not what I was after. Yeah, so anyway, okay, so the lightest part for me right here, in this case, is going to be right in here, because I don't want to go super heavy with this blue. So I'm just coloring very lightly here. Now, as light as and you see where I'm holding the pencil, by the way? The lighter the pressure you want, the further back you want to hold your pencil, okay? Because while you might have more control holding it here, you're going to invariably push harder if you haven't mentally trained yourself to not do that. And I have enough discipline and practice at coloring with a light hand that I can do that as long as I'm mentally reminding myself to not push too hard. But it does take a lot of, it's that extra bit of thought process while you're coloring. So if you're not used to, you know, coloring like that, way back here, just barely touching it. Hold on a second. Okay. And I know it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but I am. Now, the lightest part is actually going to be different here. Here, it's very light. Here, it's going to be a little darker because she has those... Grayscale is an amazing thing if you know how to work with it. And she's already told us there's going to be a deep shadow here. So, I'm going to color a little bit harder just right in here, but not like hard, okay? That music is so wild. I love it. But I'm going to lighten up as I get over here, okay? You don't want to color too hard because it's already dark. I'm just going over it a few times instead of pushing. And the nice thing about this Strathmore paper, Tantone, all their paper is phenomenal. Their watercolor paper is good. It's not great, but it's good. I mean, it's not high-end, you know, Etsy stuff, but it's good. Now, as you get more out, you're gonna lighten the silver. I don't want too much silver, not silver. Lord Jesus, I cannot talk today. The indigo. Oh, it's been a day, folks. All right. I'm going to push a little bit more, actually. Because you see how here I've got it darker, here I've got it light because that's where I've got the white and the light gray. But since how she's got this already in shadow for me, I'm going to go ahead and push just a little bit more here because I want to deepen that shadow. And it takes longer to color, and it does take practice to color like I'm doing with the hand. It does take a lot of practice. Don't give up. If you're used to choking your pencil and you can't do that without pushing hard, because as I said, that takes practice in of itself, just keep at it. Your hands will thank you, especially when you get to be my age. Oh, okay. I'm going to go up here. I'm pushing a little bit more on these shadow areas, including under her arm, because the material is not going to change. So just because her arm is casting a shadow doesn't mean my base shadow is going to change in this instance. But when I go over this shadow, I will do some things to pull this in with it. But the material's all going to be kind of the same. This dress will be, and the arm part of it will be a little bit different because it'll be more sheer. But it's going to be the same basic thing. So I'm using just little short strokes. Sometimes I catch myself with a bad habit of coloring back and forth, and it may look like I am, but I'm not. I'm actually just putting the pencil down in one direction, which is up in this case. It takes a little bit longer to do it this way, but it's intentional and it will show. You don't want to go too much with this. I'm going to color a mid-level pressure right here just to connect the darker spots to the lighter spots. And we'll color just a little bit lighter here and a little bit lighter. And this is what I would do if I was coloring on white. I would start out here with the most pressure and just lighten my pressure as I got to the center. And do you see how I have a sharp pencil for one, and I'm practically laying the side of the pencil to the paper, and I'm just going like this. So instead of using the tip, because the tip is good if you're doing a small area like up here, for example, then you could use the tip right in the, like that tiny spot. Okay, see how it makes it a little bit darker? Down here for the example, the same. Here, let me move this up. Okay, but once you get to this outer part, just take your pencil and start in the center, push, lighten up. Push hard, lighten up as you go. It's a very subtle movement. You're starting heavy here and just lightening as you go up. You make sure you rotate your pencil every so often. And sometimes you'll make a sharp mark like that. Don't worry about it. You know, if you do that, you can always take a gentle eraser. Like Faber-Castell makes these eraser pencils that are amazing. You could do something like that and lighten it up, or the battery ones, but be careful, they can really tear at the paper. I would not recommend it for watercolor paper. Okay, now as you can see, it also narrows down here. So I'm going to go a little bit heavier here with the side of the pencil. Okay, and using the same movements, I'm going to do what I've been doing. Now, I know that I started out going from the center out, but that's because I was placing my lightest colors and I wanted to make sure that I got that established before I did anything else. So that's why it's different than doing the white. You know, you would do what I'm doing now, which is going from the darkest part to the lightest part, but you would be doing that from the get-go. You also got to watch how much gray you use and make sure it's the same temperature that you want. So if you were using the lamp black, you would use warm grays, like I said earlier, with in the French grays. If you were using the cool grays, you could do it with your warmer colors, such as your like your warm browns, your warm yellows, things of that sort, warm pinks, you know, pretty much anything that's warm or cool, sorry. Anything that's cool will be good with just a straight black. By the time I get into, and I'm not going to go all the way into the center with these darker colors. That's another reason why I'm going out this way, because I'm not going too far into the center with some of these colors, because I'm starting to move my way to the darker grays and the black. And right here I'm just touching so lightly, so lightly. Sorry if I go quiet, it's just I'm concentrating. Now I'm gonna grab my black and I'm gonna use the tip gently, still midway. Don't choke the pencil. The only time you need to choke the pencil is if you're doing an area like, say, up here where my pencil's pointing to, an area that tiny. That's the only time you're gonna want to go like this, because that's such a tiny area. I'll do it. I'll show you what I mean. But I'm still pushing lightly. You're just gonna have to like really make sure you think about, be intentional about what you're doing. There's no way to really, you can do it from back here, but it just makes it 10 times harder. There, see? Now, because I'm wanting a nice soft transition, a nice soft appearance, I'm going to go about midway down on my pencil, and I'm just going to do the very tiniest area up here and kind of over here at the juncture part where these two parts kind of join, and down up in here. And I'm doing little circles, little tiny, they call it scrumbling. Okay, I'm just doing little tiny scrumbles in these small areas. And like in the bats, it's a good way to cover everything in a nice smooth fashion, but you really do need to not press super hard. And lighten your pressure as you go out. So if you're going to push a little more toward here, and as you go out, you're just going to lighten it up till you're not touching the paper. Just gradually, like I want to stop right here. So I'm going to start pushing here, and I'm just going to, as I go to this point, I'm going to gradually stoop and then take it off. Just like that. Now, when you're doing a wider area, once you get to the wider areas where you can lay your pencil down, you can move your hand farther back. You just kind of, in this case, I'm doing it light to begin with. I'm going to do a light coating over all of it. So there's not going to be like heavy pressure to light pressure, not this go around. I want you guys to see how this looks. And you can go back and forth in this instance because you're starting here in one spot and you're kind of going to a different spot. So you can kind of do that. And because I'm starting up here and I'm kind of just going down. So I'm still going one way in a manner of speaking. Just rotate your pencil, because what's going to happen, I don't know if my camera will pick it up, but the lead will flatten, especially when it's something soft like a Holbein or a Prisma. You really want to make sure you rotate your pencil every so often, and the softer you want it, the farther back you're going to hold it. And if you get a mark where it's a little bit harder, don't worry about that. It will all even out. But try not to do it. It happens though. And if it really bothers you, just gently go in and erase it. But not in this instance, I wouldn't. I'm just doing a nice light layer over. And if you get on the other parts, like right here, I wouldn't worry about that either, because it's gonna all get colored over with the same set of colors, so I don't think it will be a big deal. But you can always erase it if you want to. Okay, that is about covered. In this case, I'm just using the the flat of the pencil and just kind of smoothly going over it. Okay, now that you've got a whole base layer laid down, all you have to do is just go in and just basically rinse and repeat. This is the Cool Gray number 5, which I may not have used yet. And you don't have to use all of these grays. Why is that? Anyway, I don't know why this is coming out different there. Hold on a second. I think my tape desk would have been wet. Okay. Anyway, if that something like that happens where you see right in here where you see it's darker than everywhere else, if it's wet, just let it dry. Don't try to erase it while it's wet. Just wait till it dries, and then you can do like a little gentle erasing, and you should be able to fix that. I know some people, it's like, no. I get it. So I'm just using the flat of my pencil here, because I'm doing a nice sweeping pattern, and I'm pushing in the center this time because this is one of my midtones for my grays. So I'm gonna push a little bit harder than I might normally would in the center, but not as hard as I did the white and the lighter gray and the blues. I will put everything that I used. I can't do links, unfortunately, with Amazon, but I will put everything that I used in the description, and as well as any other information that seems suitable. I'm not going to take this one all the way to the edge, because I want that area to stay the darkest for the darker colors like the black and the cool gray 6. I want that to stay dark. And if you bring everything all the way out, it's just going to all look completely opposite of what you want. I hope I'm making sense. I'm going to fill this out and in a little inevitable speed color fashion, and I will be back to give you some. One last tip I want to add is especially if you want to not get silver, but you still want a nice Halloween kind of black blend, don't burnish with white. Okay? If you're going to burnish with a pencil, don't burnish with white. That smush with the white is one of the components that gives you silver. So, if you're not going to use the Gamsol, which can push the pigment around a little bit differently, burnish with one of your mid-tone to light tone colors, but don't burnish with the white. You can burnish with your light gray, or if you want a really heavily blue kind of look, one of your blue grays, which is what this one is, or you could just burnish with the black, but don't burnish with white, or you will end up with silver. So All right, so I've kind of done some of this off camera, and I wanted to come back because I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One is that with the black, you have very little of the lighter colors out here, so in the end the highlight's going to be in the middle, and it's going to bring the focus in of the eye to this part. However, because everything is still is essentially black, you do eventually want to bring in the black. And the thing is what, besides the blues, the thing that keeps it from going silver, another thing, is the application of the black all the way, you know, from one end to the other, in this case. And not putting any of the lighter tones at the edge. And you'll see now with Holbeins, they are soft, but they are different in that they don't smush, except for the soft white. They don't smush like Prismas do. So the quality is light years better with Holbein. Like, I don't have pencil lids falling out too much, and you know, too many lopsided points and all this stuff. But with Holbeins, where you put something, it behaves kind of like a almost like a Black Widow or a Faber-Castell Polychromos. It kind of just stays there. It doesn't smush, so you kind of have to add layers a little bit more to get that smush effect, or you could get a Caran d'Ache. This smushes things in a really nice soft way, or you can use a Q-tip that's been blotted like on a paper towel or something, and you can use this Gamcell to really further soften it, or you can just push until the holes are filled out. But again, bear in mind that these do smush, but not if you're expecting a Prisma type smush, it's not quite like that. It's a little more oil based. So right now I'm just kind of filling it in, and even though I'm doing it all the way darkest across, I'm also going over it with the tips kind of at the edge where I want the deepest, darkest part of it. I'm kind of just lining for definition. And I'll probably bring that over a little bit, but I'm just doing a very light flick in these tiny areas. This is why I say being intentional about what you're doing. You can relax and still be intentional. You know, not OCD intentional, but you know, you get my point. When I'm satisfied that I have enough layers, then I will burnish, and that'll be it. So I hope this helped you a little bit. I'll probably go ahead and finish this image. Would you like to see a either the moon or maybe some vampire skin for her, or like maybe like a nice glowing moon of some kind? I could do that. Just let me know in the comments what you would like. You know, what kind of pencils. I have everything from Black Widows to Holbeins, Castlards. I don't have Color because they're garbage. I know a lot of people use them, but they're garbage. No, thank you. You know, I have many different kinds of pencils. If it exists, I probably have it. So, if you would like to see something like this in a watercolor format, I can do that too. So yeah, just let me know. I'm gonna finish this up, and I will post the completed part of this right here. In a couple days, I'll probably post the rest of this. I don't really have enough time to do it all today, but I will definitely post this section completed. And so stay tuned for in a day or two, and I'll probably have the rest of this done. But yeah, let me know, guys. I don't mind reprinting this onto watercolor paper. You know, just let me know, guys. Have a great weekend, and go Ravens!